Y'all see? All right, good morning, fellow classmates of the classroom. My name is Joshua Robbins, and I'm doing the research on young adult texting and type communication. Texting, one of the many reasons people's faces stay glued to the bright screens on their phones. There are many other reasons for the stickiness of faces, but this paper will only stick with texting. As young adults, we send almost 1 million texts in a year. With those statistics, you'd think we'd be the most social type of human beings on the earth. However, this is sometimes simply not the case. The more and more young adult texts, the less we are prone to talking to one another face to face. It has gone so bad in the recent years that if this keeps going the same course, I fear talking face to face will soon become taboo. In this paper, I will cover how texting influences relationships, leads to social anxiety, and the added effects literacy skills. And how I will talk about texting strengthens relationships will be by giving a personal story of mine. And as you know, communication is a key factor in relationships, and what better way to show how texting can help improve relationships than telling my story. It was 2009, and I was about 14 when I met a girl online. She was amazing, sweet, funny, cute, all the positive traits you'd want a girl to have. The list goes on. I later learned that she lived in San Antonio, and we went from talking online to sharing each other's phone numbers and continuously texting back and forth almost every day. I'll never forget the day I asked her out if she would do me the honor of being my girlfriend. May 8th, 2009 was the happiest day of my life because she said yes. From then on, we texted each other almost every day, sending funny and cute texts to wake up to in the morning, wishing each other a great day at work, and so on. You can click the slide. Click it. There we go. All right. Let's see. It wasn't until sometime in 2015 that I noticed a change in her. I noticed a change in the way she spoke to me, a change in the way she acted towards me. We would argue more and more to the point that we had broken up twice and got back together. Finally, on December 2015, we had broken up for good, and I haven't spoken to her since then. And I wonder to this day if she still thinks about me every now and then, and as I do her, and wonder if we hadn't broken up in December, would our relationship continue to grow or slowly start to diminish more and more because of texting? I feel a breakup was for the best, but that part is not my point. The point of my story is to show that texting can keep a relationship strong and alive. According to a study done by the Social Science Journal, texting enhances interpersonal connections between individuals, regardless of age or gender. Specifically, romantically involved couples feel texting enlivens and enriches their relationships. I find this to be very true based on my experience. Even though we never got to see each other face to face, the sweet morning text and the how are you text kept us feeling loved and cared for. Which brings me to my next thing. It's about social anxiety, how ambiguous text messages can lead to social anxiety. I'm sure we've all been there with past relationships. You see jokes posted on social media about them all the time. You strike a conversation with your partner instead of sending you back full sentences or a paragraph like they usually do. And they send you one-word responses. The worst are texts like, okay, fine, I'm fine, fun, have fun, and the infamous K. This automatically gives you a red flag that either you have done something wrong or they're mad at you. Or the partner does not know they have done something wrong and they're mad at you. Or the partner does not know that they are sending these texts, leaving you clueless. There we go. This happens in many relationships and was even a cause for one of my breakups I went through with my ex. Very true. Even though we got back together afterwards. But what is it about that one-word text that makes us clinch to our cell phones and grind our teeth in frustration? I know I did. The answer is social anxiety. As the author of Computers and Human Behavior states, social anxiety is characterized by distress and fear of negative evaluation in social situations and is associated with a host of functional impairments. Change it? Yeah, there we go. That's what it is. There we go. Including social skills deficits, disrupted peer relationships, and reduced quality of life across many domains. People with social anxiety often expand on this one-worded text, overthinking them in a broad aspect, to which the result is most often frustrations towards the partner sending the text. Recent research highlights that the fact that many youth prefer interacting via texting or other forms of computer-mediated communication and show greater self-disclosure. The lack of nonverbal cues to emotion, CMC, which is computer mediated communication, for example, facial expressions, tone of voice, body language, may pose a challenge to socially anxious individuals because, during texting, you don't know what the other person is thinking by their body movements, by their tone of voice. It's just words on a bright screen. And that's what I hate about most about texting too. Kingsbury makes a very good point. The lack of any emotion in text messages makes some people overthink many incoming messages, which usually leads to arguments when the sender sends these types of emotionless messages. With all this texting, a bitter question arises for parents with a young adult addicted to texting. Will they be able to hold their own in conversation? Oh yeah, this is funny. I found this. Don't be like Sam. Basically, Sam, he's on the phone, looking like he's busy on the phone, texting somebody while, there's people around him talking to each other, being social. He's on his phone, but as you can see, he's not texting anybody. He's just randomly writing words so it looks like he's busy texting because he doesn't want to interact. So don't be like Sam. Go ahead, check. Yes, bad grammar. Bad grammar isn't always bad. Many teachers will agree that they... Does this mean that texting is ruining their grammar and literacy skills? Now that most phones automatically correct spelling mistakes, it is difficult to remember how to spell many words when they are spelled for you. However, Linda Braun, author of Teens Technology and Literacy, says there is not a decline in grammar, but more of an advancement. Though plenty of adults grumble about email and instant messaging and the text messages that send adolescent thumbs dancing across cell phone keypads, many experts insist that teenage composition is as strong as ever. What's the time? We're good? The author goes on to say, while using informal language associated with technology such as LOL, laughing out loud, and not worrying about misspellings is indeed an aspect of IM conversations. It's a result of the style of conversation inherent to the medium and should not be an indictment of the literacy skills of the people doing the communicating. To conclude, it is proven that texting can have a positive effect on relationships. You can go ahead and change it. It is proven that texting can have a positive effect on relationships. However, the effect is not awarded through positive text, but the actual thought of taking time out of your busy life to stop and text your partner to see how their day is going. The personal story I shared also hinted at the fact that we texted each other constantly, even though that was our only way of communication. And by doing so, we take time out of our lives for each other, and at the end of the day, this is all that matters. It is also shown, based on many of the articles cited, many young adults who stick to conversations on their phone rather than ones going on around them is one of the many symptoms of social anxiety, aka Sam.
Phone! I'm finished.
Do what?
Good.
I thought the time. What's the time, dude? 8 minutes. I still have a video to show real quick.
Hurry.
I have 422 friends, yet I'm lonely. I speak to all of them every day, yet none of them really know me. The problem I have sits in the spaces between looking into their eyes or at a name on a screen. I took a step back and opened my eyes. I looked around and realised that this media we call social is anything but when we open our computers and it's our doors we shut. All this technology we have, it's just an illusion. Community, companionship, a sense of inclusion. Yet when you step away from this device of delusion, you awaken to see a world of confusion. A world where we're slaves to the technology we mastered, where information gets sold by some rich, greedy bastard. A world of self-interest, self-image, self-promotion, where we all share our best bits but leave out the emotion. We're at our most happy with an experience we share, but is it the same if no one is there? Be there for your friends, and they'll be there too, but no one will be if a group message will do. We edit and exaggerate, crave adulation. We pretend not to notice the social isolation. We put our words into order until our lives are glistening. We don't even know if anyone is listening. Being alone isn't a problem. Let me just emphasise, if you read a book, paint a picture, or do some exercise, you're being productive and present, not reserved and recluse. You're being awake and attentive and putting your time to good use. So when you're in public and you start to feel alone, put your hands behind your head, step away from the phone. You don't need to stare at your menu or at your contact list. Just talk to one another. Learn to coexist. I can't stand to hear the silence of a busy commuter train where no one wants to talk through the fear of looking insane. We're becoming unsocial. It no longer satisfies to engage with one another and look into someone's eyes. We're surrounded by children who, since they were born, have watched us living like robots and think it's the norm. It's not very likely you'll make world's greatest dad if you can't entertain a child without using an iPad. When I was a child, I'd never be home. Be out with my friends on our bikes we'd roam. I'd wear holes in my trainers and graze up my knees. We'd build our own clubhouse high up in the trees. Now the park's so quiet it gives me a chill. See no children outside and the swings hanging still. There's no skipping, no hopscotch, no church and no steeple. We're a generation of idiots, smartphones and dumb people.
Very powerful stuff.
Who's next?